of Australia, there's a lot of sightings and that sort
Does
of thing.
Stephen Greer run workshops in Central Australia doing something?
I know.
Contact?
Not that I know.
That's what I heard.
There's something going on in Wycliffe Wells. There's always they always try to have UFO conferences up there. I reckon they see them a lot up there, up in the Northern Territory. The Dandenongs is an area where there's a lot of weird sightings over many, many years around Dandenongs and Lilydale, all around that sort of area.
So what's the outcome? Like, what's the outcome of this? Like, okay, there's UFO sightings, then what? You know, like, what happens? Can you see anything, within, whatever the next 50 years of there being definitive proof that humans now know that they are not alone? Human.
I think what will happen is, look, let me tell you about a dream I had many years ago. I mean, this is again weird.
We like dreams.
This was a very weird dream that I had. It was a little bit abstract, and it was out of the blue. I was at my parents' house where I grew up in Balmoral.
Sure.
And we were in the backyard, and my sister was there, and we heard this unusual sound, and we looked into the sky, and it was at sunset, and there was dapple dotted clouds all over the sky now, and the sunset was making them more coloured. But then there was this sound coming from the distance, so we could hear this unusual sound. And it was a line across from horizon to horizon. It's like a big dark line that built up and got bigger and bigger and bigger and came right over. And it was just millions and millions and millions of UFOs, all different shapes and sizes. And they covered the whole sky and they went right over like a flotilla type of thing, and you couldn't miss it. Even if you were blind, you'd hear it. Because there was bells and whistles and sirens and all kinds of sounds coming from it. There was blue sparks coming out of them as they went across, big ones, little ones. And they completely filled the sky and went right over. Now, the funny thing was, when I had this dream, I rang up my sister and told her about it. She was living in Tasmania at the time. And she'd been down there for more than 10 years, with her family. I rang her up and I was telling her about this dream, and I only got halfway through describing it. She stopped me and she told me the last half of it, because she'd had the same dream.
Oh, good stuff.
So tricky.
She'd had the same dream.
I had a dream. I'd also had a dream. I was in my old house in Brisbane at my mum's house where she still lives, and we're standing on the balcony and there's just UFOs all over the sky.
Yeah, there you go. You've had the same dream.
Yeah, all over the sky, and I'm like, can you guys see that? And my mum's like, there could be anything, but it was just like blindingly all over the sky. But that's like.
Do you know how long ago you had that?
I had that dream probably 2 months ago or something.
2 months ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this was in the early 90s when I had this dream, and my sister had the same dream at the same time. There's a website.
I have had another dream.
But there's a website about that dream.
About that particular dream.
It's all over the world. There's a website. There's like hundreds of thousands of people had that same dream. And the only difference between my sister's view of it and mine, and we were both elated when we saw it all happening. We weren't scared. We were really happy. And the funny thing was, in my version of it, they came from the north, and hers, they came from the west. Or I saw them come from the west, and she said they came from the north. I don't know. But that's the only difference that we had.
I did have another dream where I was actually with Tessa, and we were there was a lot of people walking in a line, and there were a lot of people dressed in black, trying to organise people where to go, and it wasn't the best situation. And there was this one guy dressed in black, and I walked over to him because I realised he was a bit out of place, and looked sort of human, but face alien, black eyes, big black eyes, and I started speaking to him, saying, what's going on, and he goes, look, you have to prepare yourself for three days coming up, and he goes, you just have to survive and prepare. And then when we walked off, then all these meteors and everything started coming down and spraying. Anyway, off topic. And then we went out and brought 3 days worth of food. Because I think everyone should take their dreams very seriously. Remember them.
I've told people about that dream that I had and that my sister had, and people say, well, that means you'll probably see that actually happen in your lifetime. I don't know.
Well, okay, so I've been listening to a few podcasts on Coast to Coast FM, and they go right down a lot of what people call conspiracy. And the last one I listened to with David Wilcock, he was saying that he's pretty much up there with a lot of the Stephen Greers of the world, the people who really try and touch and delve on all the latest UFO phenomenons around the world, alien phenomenons, so on and so forth. He was saying that there has been 2 hours of television time booked in by Obama and a lot of leaders around the world, with from today's date to Christmas. He wasn't going to give a date, and he says that there is going to be a point where all the major leaders around the world sit down and say, there are aliens on this planet, and it's a real phenomenon, and here are the aliens, and he's actually going to introduce aliens.
I read that too about 4 years ago. We're still waiting.
Still waiting.
It still hasn't happened, has it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I can't see that. That is so outlandish to me that is a possibility.
See that is an illustration of what flew over the lady I told you about before. The big thing that blocked out the skies that went over. It was like that with the lights across the front. And just like that, but it was huge.
Yeah. So do you have any reports for abductees?
Do we get a lot of them?
Yeah.
I've been running this group now for 12 years, the one that I do, so we're into the 13th year now. Yeah. And if anyone comes along who's looking for support, I pass them on to somebody who, there's only one person I know of who I refer them to, who's a counsellor in her day job. She works as a counsellor for women who have been...
abducted by aliens.
No, women who have been... subjected to violence in the home, that sort of thing.
Sure, yeah.
So she's working with trauma and shock and people who have been attacked, you know. And so she does that as a job, but she's had a personal lifetime herself of being abducted by aliens and stuff like that, and her whole family has.
Right, okay.
And she knows the things to do and things to say. So I just refer everyone to her. She has a support group. She's in Mount Dandenong. Yeah. And she has a support group. For people.
What happens to it? What happens when you're abducted?
Isn't there a common storyline that seems to go with the
they do like medical tests on you and stuff, and they're doing like genetic tests on humans and human alien hybrid experiments and stuff like that. It's all the same stuff that you read about.
Yeah, that's what
it's happening here in Melbourne. One thing that happened that we discovered when I used to be in the other group in Review Force, we had all of a sudden like a whole lot of people coming to us asking for help and wanting us to set up they weren't interested, this group, Viewforce were not interested in doing any sort of support thing for alien abductees, but they reluctantly kind of had to do something because there were so many people asking for help. So they started this new kind of a group type of thing. And what they did, somebody had this great idea, got a really large map of the suburbs, like as big as the wall there, just a great big map of all of the suburbs, and everybody in the room had to put up there with a pin where they lived on the map.
Yeah.
And it was the whole of Melbourne, from the western suburbs right across to Mount Dandenong.
Sure.
All right? Everybody in that room went there because they wanted support, and every single person was in a straight line across that map.
Really?
It was a straight line.
Yeah, right.
Now that line ran, and it makes sense, ran from Melbourne Airport, straight across out to Mount Dandenong. So Bell Street is like almost straight under it.
Really? Yeah.
All those suburbs along there, right from the airport right across to Mount Dandenong in a straight line. All the people in that room who had these experiences were somewhere along that line, including this lady who's support, who was trying to get them to let her be involved in trying to help.
Yeah. So what does that suggest?
Well, guess what? That particular line is a ley line. It's an air traffic corridor.
Ah, okay.
So you see, the people that live in those areas see planes going over and hear them and see them all the time, and they don't even look anymore.
Yeah.
And that's where the other guys come in and deliver and pick up and go, because nobody looks, because that's where all the air traffic happens. Everyone ignores it.
That's one of my uncle. He knows a person who has whose son is a pilot in a major Australian. I don't know if it's Jetstar or whatever, but they now no longer have to report UFO sightings.
Oh, okay.
Because it happens so frequently.
Yeah.
They used to have to report them and document them all, but now now it's like you don't have to report it anymore because there are so many. They just forget about it.
Do you know of the Galactic Federation?
I've heard about it,
yeah. I think that's a really interesting... I think that's a pretty massive idea.
Have you heard of them, the Nine?
It
was a similar idea.
Yeah, right.
But it came from Uri Geller. It's the same idea, but many years before. this Galactic Federation. Yep.
Council of the Worlds is
the whole,
what I've heard.
Yeah, the whole idea of there being, outer space people watching us and what goes on Earth, taking special interest in our transformation, and particularly now, going through a marked change in the way we possibly have to do things on this Earth. And, some of them are rooting us on, and, but some might not be in that. And that's what I think is a pretty common story for this whole thing. That's why the UFOs have come to help us, or if we want to be helped.
I don't know if they've come to help us. Look, do
you think that they...
I think we're just collateral damage most of the time.
Honestly, yeah.
I think they've got their own agenda.
What would their agenda be?
They don't take us into consideration at all.
Do you reckon?
No. Why would they?
Well, are we special?
I just can't imagine all these selfish beings, evil beings going around.
No, I'm not saying they're evil. But have you ever been fishing?
Yeah.
Did you ever consult the fish before you pull it out of the water?
Yeah.
What about his family? Huh?
Yeah.
You didn't, did you?
No.
You took it home and you cooked it.
Yeah.
Right? You've got no qualms about it. So why would they think any different about us?
No, because we do impact them. Because if you look at it from the spiritual point of view, every species and every life form gives off a certain aura, and a good or bad, and they're interested in us being a positive, energy field. And this is, just a story. And so it's in their best interest to help us transform and become better, and and improve ourselves for the betterment of the universe and the way the universe flows.
There is evidence to support that something's going on with the human race. I went to a conference up in Queensland about 10 years ago, and a lot of it was UFO related stuff, but a lot of it was other stuff as well, talking about immunology and science and all this. And one was a behavioural scientist got up and talked about the last 50 or 60 years they've been recording developmental stages of children. What age can you sit up? What age do you begin to walk? What age do you learn to speak? All that stuff. And if you plot that on a graph and you look at the last 50 years, all of those things have accelerated incredibly.
Every graph.
Right? No, but really accelerated. There's no reason for that.
My sister's child was walking at 10 months.
This is ridiculous.
10 months, 10 and a half months she was walking.
It's ridiculous.
And you're but back when we were walking, some children walking at 2 years or something.
And language too. They're learning things quicker.
Yeah.
They're way smarter.
Yeah.
And with technology and stuff, they're straight into it. You don't have to tell them how to do anything.
Well, that's what I mean, and I think that's why this information age that we're a part of, and specifically our generation, we've got a massive head start because we got to grow up with the internet. Not even me. It only came in really when I was in primary school. So I definitely got to. But these kids growing up today, they're just they've got this.
It's just an extension of your own brain.
When I was at school, they didn't even have a calculator at school. Yeah, the headmaster didn't even have a calculator. Nobody had calculators.
Yeah.
We weren't even allowed to use calculators when they came in.
Yeah.
We didn't have computers. No computers at school when I went to school.
That rapid and steep increase in growth in recent times is such a trend in every graph you look at, no matter what the topic is. It's in the last 30 years or whatever, everything is just skyrocketing in speed or growth or whatever.
Yeah, certainly.
Everything is
Have we gone too long?
Nah, no, look, we'll wrap it up soon. Do you
have any light to show on crop circles?
Crop circles, yeah.
Okay, the best one I've ever heard, they've done it, the one they found was...
the reply to our message?
Yeah, that's the Chill Bolton message, That's brilliant. That's definitely an answer. And we sent out that that's
proof.
We did our solar system, and only one was elevated to show life. That was the Earth, and they came back with a few of them up there. Other planets in our solar system.
Yeah.
Well, they're saying all I'll need for Mars, their atmosphere's all right, but all I'll need is we need an asteroid to hit Mars, because they're saying, because the building blocks of life is only just energy, and they're saying the core of Mars is hot.
Yep.
And so if an asteroid hits, that's why they say that basically the building blocks of life on Earth started, because when a particular asteroid's hit, you get hydrogen, you get water, massive amounts of water from an asteroid.
Meteorites are full of amino acids.
Life.
Have you heard of the one that came down in Murchison, Victoria? It's full of amino acids, and a lot of the amino acids are ones you don't find here.
Yeah.
So we've been kind
So we are actually aliens.
seeded from somewhere else.
We are. Like humans.
Now, this lady who had a sighting sent that in to me. I asked her to draw it. She's an artist, but she drew this. And this was in Montana.
Yeah.